this war clearly had to be fought to preserve what we have now. We're all here because of that sacrifice. But did we learn anything about making a more peaceful world?
Actually, if you look historically, we're in a period of what we call the longest peace. And if you look at all of human history and all of the wars that we've been engaged in, since 1945 to the present day, we have had the least amount of hostilities and actions towards each other than in any other period in human history. And so you could actually argue World War II did it. Granted, I mean, we see Korea, we see Vietnam, but the United Nations.
We see Iraq, we see Syria, we see Yemen.
But when you put them in the entire scope of the entire human history, you are in a period of the longest peace. And so to me, that says something about those men and women who fought in World War II, that it did do something. We just don't see it because we're so nearsighted.
Or it could be so much worse.
We don't see the bigger picture of all of human history.
I think sometimes it's glossed over that we can philosophize about, why can't we all get along? Well, we're human beings are reasonable facsimiles all over the world. There always has been wolves and there always has been sheep, and the wolves will always go after the sheep. And it's an unfortunate thing to say, but
you just depressed me because that's the truth.
If to look at it another way, if you're living someplace where you don't feel totally secure, let your door open. Let your door open and try to have a good night's sleep. It ain't going to happen.
So it's the human nature. World War II couldn't change human nature.
I wanted to address the idea of how do we educate people, and I think the only museum representative here, so I wanted to put a little plug in for those of us in the museum field who try to tell the individual story and to contextualize it properly. And in order to do that, we use things from the period, artifacts, clothing, weaponry, anything really that someone is looking to preserve their own individual history and the country's history as a whole. I have at this point an exhibit on the battleship Pennsylvania that we opened for Pearl Harbor for the anniversary of that, and the ship participated in the entire Pacific campaign up to Okinawa when it was hit and a number of the crew were killed. One of the things in the last part of what we were just discussing here, the country was very divided before Pearl Harbor. There was a large peace faction. In fact, there was, I believe it was in Pittsburgh, there was an America First peace isolationist rally, which when the news of the Pearl Harbor attack was announced, they simply dispersed. There was a unity then that came from that, a realization that the freedom to be able to gather for that sort of thing, to contact your representatives, was not going to be there unless it was fought for. And that's what the country united in order to do. And yes, there were wolves in the world. There were wolves in Japan and in Germany and Italy in particular, and arguably perhaps in the Soviet Union that we allied ourselves with in order to defeat the others.
Right.
But it's always that shifting paradigm of trying to maintain our own standards and beliefs.
So let me ask each of you, whoever wants to chime in here, a provocative question. Will we see a World War III?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, well, let's hear who says yes. Oh, who says no? I was just telling the two young ladies there that I hope they never have to live through a world war.
Oh, they're not being prepared.
Okay, I want to hear that, but go ahead.
I blame it on my generation, the baby boomers, because we spoiled our children. We glossed over the truth about what was really out there. And every succeeding generation, it tends to get worse And then these young people are shocked when they say, well, how could that happen? It's very easy for it to happen because it was allowed to happen.
God, I hope not.
Okay.
But the way I see matters internationally, I think eventually there will be a conflict. I think it will be global. It's going to be over resources, and it's going to involve the largest powers on the planet. At one point, the flashpoint used to be in West Berlin,
Yeah.
the wall that
Right.
we remember that falling. And I
Yes.
remember the biggest relief
Yes.
watching that concrete wall fall down and the men reaching across and shaking hands. I thought, oh my God, we're safe. It's not going to happen. If you pay attention to news, not commentary, but if you pay attention to news and look at the actions that are being taken by powers in the South China Sea, in that region, you want to look at where the resources are and the movements that powers are taking to position themselves for access to those resources. Hopefully I'll be long gone when it happens, but I don't know that that's going to be the case.
But you fear it's inevitable.
I think it will happen, but I hope not.